Deshaun Watson officially announced his trade request, or the Houston Texans let out that Deshaun Watson had officially asked for a trade. And we all knew this was coming. When they hired David Culley as their new coach, it did nothing to dissuade rumors that Deshaun Watson was gone. And perhaps the only hiring that would have made it interesting is if they would have waited until after the Super Bowl and hired Eric Bieniemy. Reportedly, Andy Reid was frustrated that Bieniemy didn't get the job, and it makes sense. Eric Bieniemy coming into the season was the hot new coach, and Brian Daboll was the hot new coach, and neither one of them have jobs, which doesn't make any sense. But Houston decided to hire David Culley, who's been a position coach in the NFL for a long time, north of 30 years, and he was the Baltimore Ravens passing game coordinator a year ago. Their passing game coordinator. Wait, what did Baltimore do really well last year? They ran the ball, and they didn't throw the ball. Okay. What was Lamar Jackson awful at in the playoffs? It was throwing the ball. They couldn't throw the ball in the playoffs. They averaged 13 points a game in the playoffs because they're so reliant on the run. They can't throw to receivers. They can't throw outside the numbers. Their passing game is average at best. Oh, and Houston went and hired the passing game coordinator. All right. Well, Houston is going to be the Jets. The New York Jets this past season were awful until about the last month when they were able to snag 2 games that they had no business winning. And they lost a third that they probably should have won when Las Vegas scored a touchdown at the end of the game. The Jets were so bad this year that they could not win a game. And even when they were trying to lose, they couldn't win that way. They should have had the number 1 pick, but somehow managed to win 2 games at the end of the year with a roster that is bereft of talent. They don't have a quarterback going forward. Their offensive line is terrible. They don't have weapons. They don't have a running game. Their defense is poor. Everything about the Jets was terrible this year. And it was well documented how poor the Jets were. But one thing we don't realize about Houston is that without Deshaun Watson, which is about to be their future, they are the Jets. Houston's roster is terrible. If you were to list their top 5 players, meaning players that are good at the game of football, you would list Deshaun Watson number 1, J.J. Watt number 2, Will Fuller 3, Brandon Cooks 4, and at 5, you're hard-pressed and you probably put Zach Cunningham. And you just asked me through your phone, who is Zach Cunningham? And that's the point. Houston is terrible, and they will be terrible. They don't have a coach that, frankly, inspires a whole lot of belief, considering his background, and they are trading away, or about to trade away, their best asset, their only asset that makes you think Houston has a chance. J.J. Watt is north of 30, and you don't know how much football he has left in the tank, and he's going to be asked to be cut. He probably goes to a team like Green Bay, should they keep Aaron Rodgers. So their best 3 players are going to be Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, and Zach Cunningham. Houston does not have a bright future. And I would not be surprised if when they trade Deshaun Watson, they probably trade for a couple players and a haul of draft picks, that they are abysmal next year. And they are a team that we look at as a potential 0-17, because there'll be 17 games next year, an 0-17 team.